Hello and Happy New Year from the movie graveyard. To kick 2020 off, I thought it'd actually be cool to, reach into the vault, pull out a rare gem that not a lot of people have heard or at least haven't heard in a while. About 5 years ago, me and some friends started a morning talk show called The Zoo Crew. And one of the episodes that was really cool that came out of it was me and actually Corey, who all you guys know from this show, we actually interviewed Rob, Glenn, and Jonathan, three guys who ran three different independent film distribution companies, putting out DVDs and stuff like that, releasing the, video on demand and all that stuff. So we had a pretty good chat with these guys where they really kind of were really completely honest and candid and talked about, what it's like to run a home video company releasing, rare, obscure, unheard of independent cult films. So I thought it'd be cool to actually pull that episode out, let you guys hear it, because I think it probably, even though we did this interview a few years ago, still a lot of the information is really timeless and it's really interesting to listen to. A little bit of fun. But yeah, I think it'll definitely be of interest to all you film lovers to get an inside peek, behind the curtain, so to speak. So without further ado, here it is. Hello, good morning everyone. Thank you for once again joining the Slow Hand Radio Zoo Crew. We hope your morning drive to work is going great. We got a great show for you tonight. Or this morning, I should say. Maybe night, depending on how early your commute is. But yeah, it's summertime, and, summertime is a great time for movies, and we figure we get a few people on here actually involved in the movie industry themselves. So I'm the Goat, as always, and I'm here with top newsman Cory G. Cory.
How's it going today?
Good.
Oh, God, it's hot out here.
All right. You want to go ahead and throw to Jonathan real quick?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm one of them microphone hogs. I'm here with my co-host from Vimy, Mr. Jonathan Morgan from Apprehensive Films.
Thanks. Happy to be here. Glad to be on the show. And today we're doing a special indie horror cult movie distribution podcast. And with us, I run Apprehensive Films, so I've been in the distribution business for almost 10 years now. And then I've got Glenn Coburn with me, who runs Whacked Movies and also director of such classics as Bloodsuckers from Outer Space. And
yes, and I should mention that I've actually been in the business for 10 minutes. So you have 10 years and I have 10 minutes. So at least there's a broad disparity between our experience. So hopefully people will defer to your judgment.
Well,
and I'll just say random things.
And Glenn's been, directing movies for how many years now? When did Bloodsuckers come out?
1934 was the first release, and it wasn't two-strip Technicolor initially, and but once it was transferred to 1-inch tapes, so we could make the VHS, then it was. The color was enhanced, and then of course since then it's been re-enhanced several times. So it's really up to date, and the sound is just as clear as it ever was. So
color enhancement for VHS, I love it. And then we also have with us tonight Rob from Wild Eye Releasing. Rob, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Rob Hauschild, Wild Eye Releasing. I guess I run it like you guys run your labels, right? Is that CEO?
I always go by president because I feel like I'm very esteemed. But
Mr. Fancy Pants.
Well, you could be. How about then I'm president and CEO,
ooh,
and COO and CEE and CPA and
CFO and CDE and
and
I strictly go by ringleader or head honcho.
Glenn is such a Southern gentleman. He comes on and he goes, I'm just going to defer to you guys. I've been in the business 10 minutes. You've been in the business for so long. You've been screwed over by so many distributors in your career that you can... Well,
actually, it's truthfully 30 years, truthfully. I mean, which I know shows my age, but I did make my first movie when I was 23, so I'm not elderly yet, although I could join...
you have an AARP card?
AARP. Yeah, ARP. Yeah. I was going to say NAACP, but no. I think it's AARP. I don't know.
Oh, that's Don Sterling.
Somebody sends me stuff.
You can.
All right, so we got
What was that
Rob.
again?
Forget it.
All right, Rob's a multi-hyphenate over here with 18 titles. Let's throw it back to the GOAT real quick, because this is the kind of dynamic I want to talk about in the show. The GOAT is he's an independent filmmaker. He's got at least one feature that I know of under his belt, Paranormal Camcorder. Where are you at in the ways of filmmaking these days, the GOAT? I mean, have you done more than one feature? Is your film out there? What do you have going on?
Yeah, Paranormal Camcorder is currently not out there. I'm just tidying up some sound things. Who was it that laughed?
That was me, cousin.
All right. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's not out yet. I'm readying the script for what would be my third film. I had a small action exploitation film called Down for the Dollar come out around 2004. Small DVD video run, and then the one we got now, Paranormal Camcorder, we're looking to probably do something with it digitally, maybe possibly on disc, definitely before Halloween of this year. And yeah, getting ready to hopefully do an action movie in 2015 coming up if, knock on wood, everything goes right.
We gotta get the Kickstarter to get me flown out to be the star of that movie.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah, we can't do a martial arts extravaganza without the one and only wrestling masked man, Cory G.
Okay, that sounds like you got some good stuff going there, and let's throw it over to Rob, because Rob, I know Glenn's handling some indie horror films, and I handle a lot of catalog stuff, and with my distribution, I handle a lot of older, kind of oddball cult movies. Rob, what kind of advice would you tell the GOAT here on his film he's finishing up? What would be your advice to an independent filmmaker that's looking to get his movie out there?
Well, there's a ton of it. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to take? You know what I was thinking? We should do Jonathan, Glenn, myself. We should do like a radio version of Shark Tank right now, and have him come to us. Have him come to us with this movie, and then we'll kind of come back at him like distributors, and really, not necessarily tear him apart, but kind of say, give him kind of what the industry sees when you bring a movie to them. Now, he's already had a movie distributed, so he's dealt with a distributor. Maybe he made money, maybe he didn't. Maybe he feels, he got screwed over. But that's where I would start with you. I would say, okay, you have this new movie you're almost done with. Sounds interesting. I get it. It's a spoof, right? Your first film, who put it out, if you don't mind saying?
It was just self-distributed on DVD, pretty much,
okay.
like a small run, yeah. It was a very low-budget, sub-$1,000 action film. It was more like a student film more than anything else.
Was it feature length?
Yeah, it was 82 minutes. We had some local screenings. This would be in Cincinnati when I was living there before I moved out to the West Coast and stuff, and did a small DVD run. Things went well. Before that, I used to distribute short films that me and my buddies would make on VHS. We did well with that. So yeah, I would say with this new one for the first time, I'm looking to go. I definitely want to go with a small distributor, like a genre distributor, but yeah, definitely looking to reach more people with this one.
So what are your expectations for distribution? In other words, if someone did take it, what would you want to see back, if anything?
In terms of finances and stuff, because it's pretty much a self-funded film that was, is paid off a while ago. I'm not looking for really that much return on it in terms of I would probably lean towards whatever the best distribution deal would be in order to get it out there, because it's really the next one. The action film that's coming up that's going to have much higher production value. I'm really going to need a return on the next one. But this one, yeah, it's kind of just get it out there because it's a really interesting and strange story line that this film has, really unique.
So I think your perspective is dead on. Your perspective is dead on about the distribution you want is something that will get your movie out there, because the reality of it is you're not going to make any money anyway. So you're either going to hand it to somebody who's going to make a lot of promises, and then your movie's going to disappear, and they're going to throw it on VOD and make $20 a month, and you're never going to get anything. Or you're going to find somebody like Wild Eye or somebody like me who's going to actually, if we want it, which who knows? I mean, anything I pick up, it's going to be released, have a legitimate DVD release, and a minimum of 500 pressings, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it into stores and to, because obviously that's for me. That's why I'm doing this, because I want to give filmmakers an opportunity to get exposure, because it's such a tough, thing to make money at this. If you set out with something that you made for $2 and you think you're going to get rich off of it, and you're looking for that kind of a deal. I mean, a lot of people come into it with that perspective up front, and they're really confused, and they've got a lot to learn. But if you're already at the point where you know that the thing that's important to you is getting, a broad base distribution as much as possible, so that a lot of people can see it, that's the greatest value of your movie, because it can help move you to the next step.
And you're right. You're absolutely right, Glenn. Like that's the right idea, because we are the equivalent. I think the three of us are the equivalent of like a indie record label. You want to get it out there, get a little more, and just keep taking steps forward. Now you said, well, what's interesting, Goat, what you said was that, well, the next one's the one I need to make money on. So I just want to get this out there so people kind of get a feeling for who I am and what I'm doing. But the next one. So what will you do to ensure that next one makes money? That's the important part. And that's really good, because most people make a movie, then hand it to someone like the three of us and want miracles. But they haven't put a name actor in it. They've got a $2,000 budget, so it looks like something that was shot in somebody's house, and it doesn't have good camera work, whatever. You know what I mean? So that now that you're at the beginning stages, you can start making steps to say, what is it that the market wants that I can actually have a chance of making money? Because there are no guarantees. It's a total crapshoot gamble.
And the thing I see a lot with filmmakers that come to me is they got a hard-on for a certain outlet, and they're just headstrong for Netflix, or they're headstrong for Comcast, or whatever it is. And let me ask you that, on your film that you've got currently, Paranormal Camcorder, do you have a certain spot you're just so focused on getting in or the next one? Because that's the thing I run into a lot, and it's really tough for me to convince filmmakers that Netflix is probably not going to buy your movie.
Yeah, with the current one, Paranormal Camcorder, it's just one of those things. This is a film that was in production for over 3 years. We had so many actors, and the thing is I just want to get it in front of many eyeballs as possible, because we had so many actors that did it for literally absolutely nothing. And these are people that have we're doing this little goofy camcorder found footage movie, which is what it was and what it was supposed to look like. It's kind of one of those things to ape the genre. You kind of have to make something very low, whatever. And we had people that were working nonstop in commercials, doing featured guest spots on network TV shows, stuff like this. And for them to really put themselves in such a vulnerable position to be on in a found footage film like this, with a really non-existent budget made over the course of 3 years, it was just a big leap of faith on their part, and I just would like to repay that by having their acting and their performances seen by as many people as possible. So I really just want to go with somebody who really knows both sides of the coin in terms of digital and also still physical media. I would love there to be a physical release like DVD or whatever, but I really want to work with somebody who's just really understands where things are going and put in a pipeline just to get as many eyeballs on, because I really think the actors deserve to be seen in this film.
And let me ask Glenn and Rob here, just since we have...
Aren't you the star of that film, cousin?
No, I would say I'm probably the second lead.
Aren't you a fucking egomaniac? Oh, everybody in this movie needs to be seen. I forgot to tell you I'm the star of this movie.
So when you say everybody, you mean you.
Everybody's got to see the goat. That's what it is. That's what you want.
I would say my character propels the storyline along, but if you wanted to count up the minutes of screen time, no, I'm not the star of it. No, nor would I want to be, because there's a lot more interesting things going on than my character or my performance. There's really some great actors in this.
And Glenn and Rob, just curious, how many movies have you guys sold to Netflix?
Oh, well, now the issue with Netflix is that Netflix is a dead issue. None of us are ever going to have a movie that's going to go to Netflix streaming ever. Period. Basically, they put all their money into TV series. They certainly don't care about micro budget movies. Now, Bloodsuckers from Outer Space, when it was released on DVD by Media Blasters on the Shriek Show label, of course, it ended up on Netflix because that's just, the nature of things. But as far as selling DVDs to Netflix, you don't make any money off of that anyway. I mean, they're going to order so few, and then everybody's going to rent it, and they're not going to have to pay for it. They're not going to have to buy it. Right. And you just can't find that many. You're not going to find any crazy, mini budget movies streaming on Netflix. It's just not going to happen. I mean, the next thing you can hope is the big goal would be Redbox, and of course, none of us have achieved that. I don't think.
I know. Rob flirted with Redbox a little bit. I've sold 2 titles to Redbox Instant, but nothing. Nothing physical.
Yeah, I've had 2. I've had 2 on Redbox Instant, but that's like their Roku channel kind of thing.
Yep.
But it doesn't really equate to the physical kiosk stuff. That's the toughest nut to crack, and everybody's in line in front of you, and that includes all the the companies that have $250,000 to $500,000, $1 million films, and I'm talking indie labels with indie horror. But these are indie horrors that might have Tony Todd's the star or Robert Englund or something. So they're always going to take those over you because that's what it boils down to. Is what can you the people that run these places, they're business people. They're not interested in your art or what you're trying to say or your story, as good as it is or as funny as it is. They just want to know, what are you giving me that I can go and resell and make money on? Are you giving me something with elements that mean it's going to sell? That's all they care about. So that's already position your stuff that way.
But the chasm between a mini budget, micro budget genre film and the next step up is so huge that unless you can raise that $300,000 or quarter of a million or whatever, $750,000, put some names in it and give it a standard Hollywood production value. That means when they look at your movie and they listen to your movie, it needs to look and sound like something they've seen on television. Even like a sci-fi original movie, even something as basic as that, it's got to look like that, because most of the stuff that guys do, and I mean titles that I pick up, they don't look like that. So I will say the Skinless that's coming up that Dustin Mills did has really slick production value in terms of it looks like a better than. I'm releasing Legend of the Hillbilly Butcher in sometime September, and it has, it's shot on an iPhone. Now, I'm not saying that publicly. I'll say it here because we, none of us care. But it's an awesome movie, but it just doesn't look like something that you're going to see on HBO. Now, when you go back in time to like 30 years ago when I made Bloodsuckers from Outer Space, you couldn't just take a camcorder and shake it around and make a movie. It was shot on 16 millimeter film, and in order to shoot on 16 millimeter film, you have to have a gaffer who knows how to light it. You have to have a cameraman who knows how to, frame it up, and a focus puller, and you have to have a sound man with a boom, with a Nagra. I mean, it was like it cost $50,000, which is not that much money, but so much of it was spent just on film stock, processing, work prints. We had to edit it on a flatbed. You've got 16 millimeter mag stock for the sound. You've got strips of everything that are hanging, and you've got to cut it all together. And then you have to do a sound mix, on 8-track or whatever you can get. So that was a very, very complicated process versus just shooting something on a camcorder and editing it on Final Cut or Premiere on your computer, which I can do now, but I don't because, it would be spending a lot of my time and even a little bit of money for something that's I'm never going to earn any money from. Even if I did something really wonderful, I know what the results are going to be, because unless I can raise $500,000 to do a real movie, then, even if you can shoot on a Red camera or Cine Alta or whatever else people are using now that looks like a motion picture camera, the product does. Now, you can shoot on a DSLR. If you get a 5D Mark II, you get a couple of bodies, and some good, glass, you can shoot a movie that looks practically like film, and that would be my recommendation. But then once again, you're going to have somebody who knows how to focus the lens, and you're going to have somebody that knows how to run separate sound, and you're going to have to sync it up, and then you're going to have somebody who knows how to, gaff it and, light it. And you could really, that's the best way to come up with a movie that looks like a real movie, is shoot it on a DSLR, preferably 5D Mark II. That's the most accessible. You can shoot high def, full high def, 1080i. You can, it's easy to manage the files. There are a lot of details that you have to know about how to operate the camera, and it is complicated, but you could produce something that looks like a real movie with that. And I've seen there are several movies out there that are shot that way on DSLRs that are actually released. I know somebody here in Dallas who shot one that was released theatrically that won an award at the Tribeca Film Festival, and had a couple of names in it.
Yeah.
And so you can do that, but as long as you're just having a little video camera, a little Sony, what is it, V1U or whatever the hell, those kind of cameras, which I used to have, it's just going to look like TV, And
the DSLR stuff is very impressive. I've seen a lot of stuff that's shot, and those looks really good. But the other thing I was going to mention about the Redbox deal is if you look at the scheme, the marketplace for movies today, I mean, you have an oversaturation of indie movies and way less consumer demand for them. I mean, you look at Redbox. Redbox has maybe 100 titles in it. I mean, look at what a video store had in it. A video store had thousands of titles. So I mean, to get those big sales in the indie market. I mean, the rental market's always been key to labels and filmmakers making a lot of money. And the Redbox market now is you're competing for one of 100 slots, and versus I mean, there is still Family Video, but they're the last remaining actual video store chain that I know of. I mean, the record stores have kind of picked up some of that slack, but not in the rental department, at all. And I think that's part of what we've seen lately.
With Bloodsuckers from Outer Space, Lorimar and Warner Home Video sold 60,000 units of that movie. It was in every rental department of every video store across the country because at that time, in 1984, 85, 86, the big studios had not yet gotten on board. They didn't really believe that home video that anything was going to happen. It was like a fad because they're always behind the curve, so at that time, there was a huge demand because everybody had VCRs and they wanted movies. So you go to the very first Blockbuster Video was here in Dallas, not far from my house, and it was one store, and it was full of everything. I mean, you could get all H.G. Lewis films, you could get all John Waters films, Fellini, Truffaut, Henry Jaglom, just whatever. I mean, it was a huge library of everything. And then you'd look on the board and it would say on Friday, and they would have like 4 titles that were, Hollywood titles that had been released theatrically 9 months earlier. And then now they're coming to the video store. And so people are like, oh my God, I got to come in early on Friday and get my copy of that. But in the meantime, you had thousands of titles in that store that were not big Hollywood releases. So that's why something like the movie I made and other movies like that got such a big release, because there was a hunger for product. There was not enough product, and it cost too much to make movies, so that there were a limited number of people who could actually pull it off. Whereas now anybody can make a movie, and everyone has made a movie, and there's no place for it anymore because everybody wants to.
It's tilted. It's the exact opposite of the '80s VHS boom right now. We don't have the slots, the retail slots for them, and there's way too many movies.
Right. So your retailers, your VOD outlets, your rental places, what's left, and also internationally, these buyers, these people who take in films for their outlets, they are pickier than ever. They can choose whatever they want. They are in charge. So Redbox tells you what your cover looks like. Redbox.
They're looking at A-list film.
And I got to tell you, not to make things sound bad for anybody or depress anybody with this podcast.
Well, it sounds depressing.
Please,
Please
but go
right
ahead,
now,
Jonathan.
It is. Oh, this isn't going to make anybody feel any better. But I'm working on clearing out a title that I've got in a massive excess stock in. And I just talked with the retail buyer for Big Lots this morning directly, and they're like, no, passing, not interested, doesn't look strong enough as a seller. And it's like, dude, I don't know what's out there in the liquidation markets and the clearance markets right now, but there might be a lot of, B studio titles that are just filling it up, because I'm like, man, it's actually getting hard to clear out some of the overstock that I have, which I didn't anticipate coming in. Just to let you guys know, so if you're sitting on thousands and thousands of units of a title, I know me and Rob were emailing about this earlier. Recycling might not be the worst idea.
Yeah, you break it apart, you recycle the discs, you recycle the plastic. I mean, that's really that's the end of the line, Like that's the life of your movie.
But wasn't there a market though? I know there was a market in like even 10 years ago where it could go to the bargain bin, and you'd have a bargain basket or everywhere. At Best Buy and every store, people kind of like pull out stuff for $5 or whatever.
Yeah,
that doesn't even exist.
Have you gone to the bargain bin? You know what's in there? Hollywood movies with
That's
name
what I'm saying.
actors.
Even the bargain bin is a tough sell.
Yeah, the bargain bin is blockbuster with like huge $100 million movies. Now it's hard to compete.
Yeah, there's
exactly. $5 a pop.
Not only that, you get the $5 movie, but it's 4 Charles Bronson movies on one disc for $5. So you're getting. You're getting $200 million worth of movies for $5. So
sadly,
they're going to come and take their
same movie 4 times.
What's that?
I said, but sadly, being you said Charles Bronson, you're getting the exact same movie just 4 different times.
Well,
but it's worth it. It's worth it. Believe me. The thing that we can hope for, and I don't know, is for all of us, because this is the only thing positive that can ever happen, is if somebody can put together a channel or a cable, channel or some sort of a network that will be specifically dedicated to low budget indies, so that people can go there specifically to see these kind of movies. Because as long as we're competing with everything else,
they have them already. They have IFC, they have Sundance, and where do they play there?
Well, that doesn't even count. I mean, it's going to have to be something that actually can take micro budget movies. I mean, that stuff is all big budget.
I get it, and I more than anyone have lost more money trying to support independent filmmakers and getting their movies out. So I'm not saying this from a mean place. But what have you done for me?
Yes, you are.
That's what they say. What have you done for me lately? You start a channel and you play $2,000 movies. Well, who's going to watch it? No one. And guess what?
Exactly.
The advertisers are not going to show up. Advertisers are not going to show up for that, and you're going to have a dead channel. So you have some Roku channels that you can put stuff on, but there's no TV network. Look, the only time independent films have spiked and got out there is when there's been a gap in Hollywood product, whether it was the drive-ins and there was this regional stuff that Hollywood wasn't servicing, and these guys like Al Adamson, Sam Sherman, Roger Corman, these guys came in and made movies, or when you came in, Glenn, was when there was there was no glut of Hollywood stuff going into the rental stores, but they were booming and Hollywood couldn't catch up, so they took all your movies. That's why you see all these rare things on VHS. Then it drops off at about the mid-90s. When VHS started to die, you see less in the film.
Or before that even. By the late 80s, things became more sophisticated. Even foreign buyers became more sophisticated by the late 80s and said, we don't want this shit anymore.
Because they had the same problem. They needed products, so they were grabbing everything. And they were spending a lot of money because people were just renting anything because it was novel. And the same thing happened when DVD came out. Everybody went into the vaults. Everybody spent a lot of money on films that were buried for 30 years and remastered them and spent tens of thousands of dollars remastering them and making extras on these obscure Italian horrors and things and put them out.
Well,
and then
Synapse is still doing that.
Well, Synapse does it. They do it smart. They do it pretty much direct to consumer. They're doing it. They're not putting 50,000 units in Walmart and getting them back. They're not doing that. They're doing it's pretty much direct to consumer. They go to shows. They're online. They're in minimal stores where it's actually buying. They're not taking those risks that the indies were taking in the early 2000s with stuff, which put many companies out of business. When you get $1 million in returns from Best Buy, it puts you out of business. So that's the only thing. Now, VOD might be that next frontier for indie films. And that's, but even that's starting, you can feel it. They're starting to not just take anything, because now Hollywood's on board with that.
Speaking of novelty, real quick, because this is something I was considering, and I'm curious about, and I just like to get all three of your guys' professional opinion as distributors of these type of films. Probably like the last 3 years, VHS collecting has become a real novelty. Do you think there's any market for new micro-budget films to kind of get noticed to do of newer films to do a VHS release in this day and age?
You want me to answer that question?
You just missed the boat on that. You just missed the boat on that. You're about 2 years too late. Go ahead, Rob.
There's a small collector's market for that, and we've put out VHS, but I mean it's small. It's a supplement. What I do is I take some of our more popular films and put them on VHS for that market to get more exposure for those films into a new demographic. But I don't see anyone moving over 100, 150 pieces at most on something. Most of them that come out are very limited editions, numbered. It's really small. But it's cool.
But it was a big deal, though, at the beginning. Like a few years back, there was a real surge in that, and people were excited about it. But it's just fallen off because
it's died out already.
Yeah, about 3 years ago, there was a big push for it. There's been two or three, there's been 2 documentaries released. There's a couple more in the works. I mean, it's definitely gotten a lot of attention. But business viability, it's not there. I can tell you, as someone who got VHS into distribution, into stores, it's just not there. It's there. There's something, but if you're looking to build a business on that, or say, well, I'm going to do a movie only on VHS, well, a couple hundred people will see it, and then they'll upload it to a torrent or something. That's the way it'll get seen. But it's not going to get into retail stores, traditional ones. It'll get into mom and pops and small record stores who get it, who get that it's a cool thing.
And and I think it's definitely a novelty factor. I mean, I've had a couple of VHS labels that I've talked to about putting out a couple because we're not going to do it in house because we don't have the setup for it. And like Rob's saying, it's not a huge market. So we were going to partner up with a couple different VH levels from time to time, and there's always kind of fallen apart. And I think it's just strictly because it's mostly pure passion going into it, and the guys, if they're doing it on the side for whatever else they're doing, and there's that kind of thing. But if you're going to produce them yourself and you've got a good social media fan base and stuff, you can sell a few signed copies for sure.
Yeah, you can make. I look at it
Lewis
as
Justin did a good job. Did a good job with he started a few years back.
Yep.
And picked up some old shot on video titles from the '80s and put them out on VHS. And because he promoted it right and did and he still, even just with Black Devil Doll from Hell, did a lot of PR, a lot of marketing. Really went all out. And he did sold enough because the price point was so high that he was very successful at that during that time. Now, of course, he released my movie that my first DVD release was Replicator, which is Brett McCormick's movie that has Brink Stevens and Gunnar Hansen. It was shot on 35, by the way. And then Lewis did a VHS release on that, and he made some money off of that. So he also did a VHS release on Bloodsuckers from Outer Space a couple of years back and made money off that. And he did The Abomination, I think, another movie Brett made.
Oh yeah, he's done a ton, but he's moved into DVD distribution with the films too. So
exactly.
Now he realizes that you have to do that market. So it's only so far you're going to get with VHS, but it's if you can find a label that will do one for you alongside a VOD or DVD release. That's a cool little bonus, because we're all fans of that stuff.
One other thing I wanted to kind of talk about, which I think kind of segues in well with the VHS thing, is that when you have a brand new indie horror film with no names in it, that is a really tough sell. I mean, you're basically starting to have to create awareness. Any catalog title that I release, even if it's a public domain title, has at least 30 years of some sort of awareness of the title. So, it's like literally, I take a catalog title there, any weird old movie that's had a couple releases, there is some awareness of it in the cult movie community, where you take a brand new movie, right. It's like you got to work twice as hard, maybe 4 times as hard to make, a quarter of the money sometimes.
And you won't make it back. Not 8 times out of 10, it won't break even because it's just so hard. Just always look at what a bigger company's doing to make you buy their film. They're spending millions of dollars in advertising. Even if it's a small release, they're spending millions. If it's a big release, well, they're spending, $100 million. It's on the cup at the store. It's everywhere you go. It's tied in with the fast food, whatever. So for a small company to do something like that with your film, they have to be very creative and use whatever they have. So if you can get the rights to something, like if you do have a catalog thing, and that's something people say to me all the time, well, why don't you get the rights to this movie and that movie and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I prefer to break new talent. I like being associated with first-time filmmakers. They go on to their second and third film. We have a few of those filmmakers. I like that. I get the thrill out of breaking talent. Somebody who might go on to, do some bigger film someday, might go work for Asylum or even higher than that. I have a Roger Corman complex. I like that. That feels.
I have the more. I'm more like an archaeologist. I like to dig up old movies and find movies that people have forgotten and try and track down the negatives to decrypt.
And I love that. Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad people like Synapse and these other companies are doing that, and Shout Factory or who's ever doing this kind of stuff, archiving stuff, remastering it, finding it. I love it. I have it. I collect it. But to me personally, like from a creative level, it's like low-hanging fruit for me. I'm just not as interested in it. It's like
I'm the exact opposite on the new indie stuff.
I'm exactly on the same page as Rob. I mean, we're right on in the same wavelength there, because for me the exciting part of it is somebody like Joaquin Montalban made Legend of the Hillbilly Butcher, and I have a relationship with him, and I think he's very talented, and I respect his work, and I can see his art, and I can see all these things in his movie, his talent, his own personal creative expression, and I want other people to see it. I want to share it with other people, and that means something to me. And there are several of those filmmakers, whereas for me, that personal connection with the filmmakers, and plus the fact that I was on their side of the fence. I've made a few movies myself, and that was what I always loved filmmaking, forever, and I did it. And now here are these other guys that are making movies, and I'm getting, that thrill vicariously through them. And I know Rob's exactly the same way on that. It's like we don't make movies, but it's almost like we do make movies, because we take other people's, babies, and then we, bring them to life and then show them to the public and get them out there. And it's like, we feel close to these movies. It's like, for me, this is not just some widget that I can put out there and sell for $1. I mean, it's like, it really means something to me, which is good, because I'm not making any money off of it, so, but I'll do everything I can to get it in stores, to get it wherever it can go. But, there's only so much we can do. And we're also, totally, I should say, we have basically sales reps tell us what we have to do, so we can't just say, here's the movie and here's what we're going to get it out there. Because there's always a gatekeeper. There's always somebody, even though we're indie labels, we have to answer to somebody else. There's somebody that we have to present this to that says, well, this is not going to sell in stores unless you do this and this. And then we have to shape it to make that happen. Or you present it and, your sales rep says, this is not going into stores. I mean, I just released Blackface Killer, which was originally called The Minstrel Killer, which is about a guy, in blackface makeup and a minstrel costume that's like, using slave torture methods to kill young women. And so that's not a movie that is really very PC. You can't, everybody's scared to touch it. So basically, I had zero sales support on that movie because nobody wanted to put it out anywhere, even though I love the movie and even though I put it out on DVD.
Hey, Glenn, did you take that to TLA? Did they go for that?
No. Basically, that goes, as you know, I mean, I have an exclusive deal with MVD, so that's where it goes, and then they take it from there and it goes wherever they can. And literally that movie
that's gone nowhere.
Did not perform at all. I mean, yeah, there have been some sales, but it's a very small kind of one-off on Amazon or something. You don't, usually it goes into at least some oddball, the remaining kind of mom and pop or, cool
record store,
hit if record store, video store, comic book stores like Replicator went to, you always get, a bunch of units to go to all those places. But with Blackface Killer, it didn't even go there because, there's just this fear to even promote it, in the catalog, because it's just like, oh my gosh, we can't, what's going to happen, a firestorm. I mean, I'm thinking about sending it to every chapter of, the NAACP, and then sending it to the, white supremacists and everything, and see if somebody will just start, we can start a big,
There's a group that hit me up for screeners that do the reviews. I don't know if they're still around, but they're on my, I'm fine, they can do their thing. They're called Soiled Cinema, and it's 2 S's, and they're some neo-Nazi groups, but they like cult movies, so, that
this will be right up their alley.
That's very bizarre.
Exactly.
I want to let's take a quick time out from our movie topic today. I want to get back into sales and distribution avenues in a second, but before his voice completely goes out, let's throw it to our top newsman, Cory G, with today's news. What do you got, Cory? Apparently, Cory took a nap.
Oh, sleep. No news today. Everything's good.
All right, so we'll skip the news for today.
No, I'm here. My mic was on mute because I was coughing.
Okay.
I got the entertainment news today, cousin.
Oh, that's great. Fits with our topic today.
Number 1 movie at the box office, X-Men, Days of Future Past, $121 million Memorial Day opening. I am not going to see it. I'm waiting for confirmation if Peter Dinklage gets stepped on by a sentinel. In other news, Godzilla plummeted 80%, thus proving it will not be the massive global juggernaut that the fantastic Roland Emmerich Godzilla movie made in 1998 was. I miss the guy in the rubber suit.
I think we all do, cousin.
Now I got a question for Rob.
All right.
Because I've been too quiet. I got a question for now. Seeing as how we're not close personal friends and you don't send me free movies, I actually have to purchase my films. And I'm looking through your catalog, and there's a movie there that struck my eye. It's called Race War.
That's right.
Yay! Race War, awesome.
Glenn loves that movie.
I've heard a lot of online chatter about that movie, and I see it at a very reasonable price. It's like $12 there on the Amazon. What can you tell me about that one?
Glenn, you want to give it a little review for him? Because if I give it a review, it'll sound biased because I'm trying to sell it.
Well, all I can tell you is that it is a terrific stoner movie, and it has some hilarious characters in it. And the one black dude is just like, I can't stop laughing. I mean, everything he does, and it is so gritty and so cheap. I mean, it looks like it was shot on Super 8, but there's just like some really wild like sound effects, music cues, things that are just totally bizarre, and the shit that happens. I mean, it's sort of like Harold and Kumar meets Trailer Park Boys with a $2 budget. I mean, I can't. I don't know. What do you think, Rob? Am I on target or not?
You're on target. I mean, it's just it's batshit insane, and that's why I love it. But there's a ton of creativity in it. It's not just like like a trauma. It's not like a trauma movie, although you could compare it to that if you don't, if you just see it on the surface, you could say, oh, it's like a trauma quality kind of crazy movie, but. It has some great, funny ideas in it, and
there's no wink, nod in it. There's no self-awareness like, oh, we're making this movie. It's like it's just there. You don't get the feeling that somebody's feeling like
blaxploitation kind of blaxploitation zombie alien killer robot kind of thing going on. It's just got this crazy ass vibe, and it never lets off. And also it's not necessarily it's more modern than blaxploitation. I'm kind of just I'm doing it a disservice saying that it's a little more 90s influenced, I would say, very video game influence. There's a lot of like really cheap ass effects that are funny as hell in it. It's definitely and it's misogynistic. It's it's un PC. It's racist. I don't know what.
Dude, I think Corey's purchasing it right now.
It's worth my $12.
I think if you like to watch movies, you can get it for like movies when you're stoned. watch. Yeah. That's one to watch when you're stoned. There's no doubt about it.
You can get it for like $6 on Amazon. You know, if you look there, there's like, I'm looking on it right now. There's like $5.98. You can get it for on Amazon.
Now that's isn't the company that made that? Is it like DWI or something like that?
Oh, DWP. Yeah, DWP. Tom Martino, DWP Productions. Yeah, they have a new one that just came out called Cheese Balls.
I was just going to ask my old co-host, a friend of mine, T-shirt Joe Garcia, is actually in the movie Cheese Balls. He's Tom's friend. Are you going to be putting that one out?
No. Glenn was looking at that one, but no, we're not.
I do want to. I haven't seen the film, so I can't speak on anything about it. But
it's almost like backward. It's like, you know, Race War is so good. It's like it seems like they made Cheese Balls first before they knew how to make a movie. Because I mean, Race War's got like a bunch of different locations. It's got a bunch of characters. It's got crazy stuff in it. You know, and then they do Cheese Balls, and it's just like they're in a vacant house, you know, making a movie. And I'm, you know, whatever. I'm sure somebody likes it. I think what's Beneath the Underground, that's their one title they put on their VOD site. So
it's Beneath the Underground put it out, which is cool. I'm glad he found some kind of distribution for it. I mean, he intentionally wanted to do something super lo-fi like that. You know, he wasn't trying to, you know, take it to the next level with that film. He was trying to go backwards a little bit and do that on purpose.
Yeah, no kidding.
In his defense.
I will say one thing though. They got a great cover for the DVD of Cheese Balls. It's great.
Oh, it's like a spoof of the Goosebumps. Right?
Yeah, it's great. It's just the artwork and the layout. It really catches your eye, you know, which you don't see a lot in you know, independent DVD cover design.
And what I want
just enjoy looking at the cover. And what about Alabama Sasquatch? You got to tell you, Alabama Sasquatch is coming up from Wax. So, on the topic of Race War.
Yeah,
Rob is one of the few people that's seen that.
That's a good companion piece to Race. Look at you plugging, man. This guy's always plugging. God, everywhere. Now we put out every time you talk, Glenn. It's like, yeah, we got one coming out called blah blah blah, and then you know,
because you can't do that, Rob, because you'd have to like name 30 titles. You know, it's like I've got like, you know, half a dozen things under contract. If you did, you'd be talking for the rest of the show about all your titles.
No, man.
You've got your schedule lined up until like 2023. I mean, it's like, what do you got? Like 75, 80 titles under contract right now?
At least 700. You know, I figured it out. The only way to make any money is to put out 100 movies every month. It's the only way to make any money.
See,
that's the way to
you don't put out. You don't put them out though. And see, the thing is those.
I have no money. I have no money.
The
last ones don't make any money. I'm gonna put them out.
Why those fuckers are calling you up and saying, "Where's my movie?" And you're like, "What was the name of your movie again?" Well, let me look on my computer and see if I can remember if I have a contract.
Yeah, I got to pull up my spreadsheet with all my times and releases.
Yeah, I did. Catching up to Jonathan.
Oh, I do. I do. Yeah, I do have that movie under contract. I'm sorry, I forgot.
One thing I want to talk about with all of us on here is stuff, and I think that's something that the Goat's got going for him on his last film, is stuff that does work. You know, besides emulating the look and sound of a Hollywood movie and putting a star in it, you know, what kind of stuff have you seen that does work? The stuff that I've seen that works time and time again, and not always result in great sales, but it definitely gets you, for that retailer or that VOD guy to take the shot on it, is the thing that I've hit home runs with the most is holiday timing and timing with bigger feature knockoffs and spoofs, like where he's got the paranormal camcorder thing going. My number one seller is Hardware Wars. It's the movie that broke me into retail. We put out the 35th anniversary DVD. We're bringing out the Blu-ray. We just did the HD transfer. That movie sells and sells and sells because it's a parody of the most successful film of all time. You know, and it was the first one.
So here's what Jonathan does: is he puts like 420 on the front of everything, and people buy it. That's his technique.
And that's what I want.
This is a 420 movie. Oh, it's sold out.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, the first movie I hit a big payday on cable VOD was the 420 triple feature. And when I talk to my sales reps, they tell me, we can't have a movie that's more than 4 years old. We got to have supreme, like, beautiful digital fucking masters of these things. And, you know, nothing can be public domain. You know, those are like the three criterias for cable VOD. I sent them the 420 triple feature, which is 3 public domain, old beat-to-shit 16mm transfers of marijuana propaganda movies. And we landed that on cable VOD because it was holiday times. It had really cool cover art, and it made sense to those guys and the male market that the cable VOD serves. And so, I mean, there's these hard and fast rules that your sales reps and your guys will come up with, but you can break them from time to time. I didn't even mean to. That was an accident. I was just going to put that on.
Well, what you did say, Jonathan, one thing that's important to tell anybody who's making a movie is be sure you shoot it on high def. Because at this point, to even get it to go to iTunes, it's going to have to be a high-def file. I mean, that's just the deal now. When it goes to the aggregator, the first thing they're looking at on the
HD is very important. Yes, I mean for future. I mean things. That's the way it's going. But I did just get your Children of Dracula on iTunes standard def.
There's an exception, guys. If the concept is bigger than the content, then you can always, if you're like you said, if you're drafting off of a popular title, if the Batman's coming out and you got some kind of Batman related thing or a superhero thing, they will make concessions to you to get that product out there because it's going to make them money. You see, that's always what it comes down to. It's not like, do you have a great piece of art here? Is it going to make money? We have a paranormal title coming out in September to draft off of Part 5, which is coming out in October. And Walmart's looking at it. You know what I mean? Like that, because it's that. There's no names in it. It's not, I think it's a good movie, but it's not, it's not changing the game as far as movies go. It's a well done, solid little film, but it's an indie film. But yet, all of a sudden, #1 retailer in the country wants to see it because it's drafting off something that's going to be in theaters the following month. They know it's going to make at least some money for them. For them, not for me. They don't care if I make money. They want to know, what are you going to do for me?
And that's the thing that I've noticed. My widest release to date was my 420 Friendly Comedy Special. Which, by the way, I got into this as a filmmaker as well as Glenn. I wanted to get a handle on the business side of things so I could make more movies. And I made Halloween Home Haunts last year, and then this past year I made I produced this and directed this comedy special, the 420 Friendly Comedy Special. And if you look at the stuff I do, it's not necessarily my original ultimate vision of a horror movie that which I plan to make still, but the stuff that you see, I apply what I learned on the distribution side to my new projects to try and hopefully make something will make me some money.
A live show or a documentary, that kind of thing you're doing. But one thing I have to say about Jonathan while everyone's listening is I've worked with him for a while, and he's doing some VOD stuff for me and also print on demand of that Children of Dracula thing. And he always keeps me up to date with what's happening, and he always sends checks. I mean, I get mail from him, but I don't always open it because I figure, it's going to be $6. I've told him before, don't waste your money. Don't waste your money on a stamp. I mean, put it on my Starbucks account. So I can buy coffee. But honestly, Jonathan always sends checks to me, so he's a guy that won't just take your stuff and disappear.
Thanks. And I see that a lot. There's a lot of distributors, especially in the horror movie side of things, that just seem very unreputable. But that's my deal. Is if you made more than $1, I'm going to send you your check. If you made less than $1, it gets rolled over to the next month because I'm not mailing it. So I'm just going to, some guys are surprised, but and a lot of that stems from is I mean, this is what I do for a living, so all the chicken scratch counts for me. And the other thing, too, is since I work with a lot of older films and I work with filmmakers who've already been screwed a couple times, sometimes it's a really tough sell to get them to sign their rights over to a movie for anything, And so a lot of that is like, hey, listen, I've got a great reputation. You can talk to all the guys on my label, and, I don't have a minimum. As long as you make $1, you get paid.
That's the thing, but what if they talk to the people who didn't make money with you? You see, that's the one drawback is that I feel filmmakers or producers on the very low budget level who haven't been distributed, let's say, are very uneducated about how the the movie business is one of the most difficult in the world to make money. I know we all see kind of the glitz and the stuff that's put in front of us to kind of lure us into it, but it's really one of the riskiest businesses in the world, and most investors won't go near it. So how do you stop that? Me, I've got 20-something films out there floating around. some of those people didn't make money, and I tell them why, and I show them. But then what if a new guy goes to one of them and says, "Did you make any money?" He goes, "No, I didn't make any money," and they might feel screwed or something, and you get the grumblings, and you hear it. It starts to.
I think Glenn kind of hit the nail on the head with just my level of communication with everybody. Because I send my reports out of time every month, and a lot of times they're negative. I mean, I got some movies that are just tanked hard, And the thing is, I keep guys in the loop and I tell them what's up. And the other thing too is, I don't know how everyone else operates their businesses, but all my filmmakers know I deal with Allied Vaughn and MVD and Planet Works. They know who I'm not trying to keep some big shroud of secrecy on where your DVDs and your movies are going. They know how everything kind of works with me when they get on, and I tell them, this is what's happening. We haven't been paid from this guy, or whatever the deal is. Or, your movie went to so-and-so and they all came back. We've had a couple. And that's the other thing, too. With the holiday timing, you will get retailers and you will get guys on board, and because they're hoping they're going to make some money. And sometimes it doesn't work, man, and you get some shit back. So just be prepared on what you do there.
Well, he's going to come back. You're going to get on average 25 to 30% of your inventory back. I mean, those are just the numbers. See now everybody in retail selling widgets or lawnmowers or bicycles or whatever, they know this. For some reason, it's a big mystery to filmmakers that they're, it's part of this whole bullshit story that you're sold, that you're going to make a movie and the world's going to care and you're going to be rich and here come the beautiful women and the cars and all this stuff, and it's just not like that. It happens to one out of 50,000 guys maybe,
And hopefully we're all going to be that lucky guy on one of these releases.
Well, you can, and that's the lure of it. The lure of it, is that the next one you put, it's gambling. The next time I pull the handle, it's going to hit. And that's really what keeps you doing it, is knowing that you can have a hit. I mean, from a business perspective, that's really what you're doing. And for most distributors, they're throwing 50 films out there every quarter, hoping that something sticks. And it's really that numbers game that they're playing. But we are not playing that game where we're at. We're more parallel to the actual filmmaker. We're starving with them, alongside them, for their art in a sense, because this is our art. This is something that we got into not just as numbers, dollars and cents, which might be foolish to the outsider who looks at us as a business and says, well, why would you do that? Chances are you're not going to make money, and they wouldn't get involved in it. But we do it for a different reason. And I think there's a real, you have to think about it. Somebody's put all their blood, sweat, and tears and all their money and their family's money and their uncle, whatever. All this to make this movie, scraped it together, and then they dump it on you and they say, go make some magic with this. And it's a lot of pressure to be put under. It really is.
Yeah, it's the amount of filmmakers, like you guys have touched on, the amount of filmmakers and product that's out there. It's created this sea. It's like everybody wants to be a writer, everybody wants to be an actor, everybody wants to be a director, but hardly anybody wants to be a distributor, which is like why I'm so happy to have you guys here on the show, is like to hear some of the passion on the other end. Because, there's a lot of places where bigger companies, whatever, where it's like, like I've been contacted just out of the blue from the IMDb listing from, like big companies. And it's just that thing of just like they might call you and they might glance at it, but it's just that impersonal, like, oh, no thanks, oh, we passed, whatever. Whereas like, it's good to finally hear that there's people on the distribution side who are really working hard and understand like the shoes that the filmmakers are in.
And I think this will come up. This is a good story. I just released a movie called Making Off, which is a French movie that is not dubbed. It's got English subtitles. And the thing is, I don't put out a lot of new indie stuff. I put out some of it. And it's got to really grab my attention. And and Making Off was one that I really enjoyed. And I know we talk a lot about the business decisions and stuff. And and Rob had actually looked at this movie too. And Rob passed on it because he was like, man, it's going to be a tough sell, a subtitled movie, brand new. And I was like, and I picked it up, and I'm not typically the guy who's going to pick up, the tough sell indie movie. But I really liked it. And I thought it was one that, that spoke to me. And I was like, whether this makes a ton of money or not, it's worth my time putting into it. And that's why I went and Making Off. And so far it's been doing pretty good, actually. We're pretty happy with Making Off.
I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah, that's what happened. It's a French film with subtitles. It's a found footage film. It's very well done. Yeah. I enjoyed it, and I was really on the fence about it. But eventually, I was like, you know what? And the guy was really eager to get North American distribution. But I was like, you know what? I can't. It's like managing the guy's expectations. when it's one thing when somebody somebody over here in like the suburbs of New Jersey makes a movie, they kind of get the temperature of the market in a sense, you know what I mean? They get, but somebody in another country, when you give them North American distribution, it's like, oh, I've arrived, because to them North America's Hollywood, they don't know any different. So I just felt like, you know what, I just don't want to disappoint this person. And I've taken films from the UK and a couple other countries, but it's very, for me, foreign films are very difficult because of that disappointment level if it doesn't perform. But I think you made a good decision taking it. I'm glad you took it, and I'm glad it didn't wind up in one of these, meat grinder distributors or one of these sales reps that just sits on a movie for 10 years, and never finds it a home. So.
Yeah, but no, that's one of the things where it's like, it's like at the end of the day, it's like, it's a tough job, but what the hell else am I going to do? Yeah,
but you did it, and I've done that too, where I've taken films that I knew weren't going to make money, but I just love that movie, and I'm like, I know if I put my name on it, because that's what we're doing, right? We're ushering it to the market. We're legitimizing that movie in a sense. Not that it's not legitimate, but we're giving it a stamp saying, yes, somebody has chosen this. We've put our own money behind it, which we do. We put thousands of our own dollars in every release, and then get it out to market and kind of stand behind it. So, sometimes you just take something because it's so damn good, even though it might not have that market potential.
Exactly.
And that's something that a business person wouldn't do. You know what I mean? Like a typical
100%,
business person selling widgets or something. They're not going to do it. Unless they were so successful they could throw money away on pet projects and things.
One thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But I was going to say on a similar note, I did live in LA for a while and I worked in the business, but this is just something that people should know if you're interested in the movies, is I actually worked on crews. I worked on big movies, little movies, music videos. I mean, I worked on the movie directed by John Schlesinger, who's an Academy Award-winning director for Midnight Cowboy. Drove him around the Culver Studios, lot on a golf cart, and I can drop a whole bunch of names because but I mean, the thing I'm trying to say is though, if there's something you want to do, you want to work in the camera department, you want to work in the art department, you want to work in, whatever it is that you may be into, you can move to LA and work in the business and make money. I mean, that's how people make money. They make money working on movies, on the crew, and working their way up from a loader to a second assistant, first assistant, camera operator, DP, and I mean, I know people that when I a good buddy of mine that was a key grip, is now like directing tons of TV and making a buttload of money. Another guy who was a DP back then is now like executive producer of some of these police procedural shows. I don't know what I can't remember which cop show it is, but it's like you go out there and you work you work in the biz, you work your way up, and you're going to end up somewhere, and you're going to be working on jobs and making money, and the pay is really good on if you get on even on non-union shows. But then at some point you're going to get on a movie that's non-union and it's going to go union, and you're going to sign up and you're going to start making a bundle of money. So that is an option. I know we're talking about being in wherever the hell everybody is in Canton, Ohio, and making a movie, and that's awesome. But that is totally separate than what's going on in the film industry, which is based out in Los Angeles. Now, on the other hand, as Rob and I have discussed, all the little indie filmmakers in LA, we don't even want to deal with because they're just so out of touch with reality. But in terms of the industry itself, though, you can go there. I mean, when I moved there, within a few weeks, I was working on a Prince music video in the art department. And after that, it was just one crew to the next, and then I moved into production office work, and then, I was like, set dresser and everything else, and it's just, you get to know a certain production designer or certain people that like just bring you from one show to the next, so everybody just keeps working, and so you can do that. But I'm saying I know most people don't want to do that because that's, it's just I want to make films, I want to be a filmmaker, but the thing about that also, the other point is that when you're out in L.A., I know for a fact from being there, on the one hand, every valet parker has a screenplay and everybody working behind the counter at 7-Eleven. But also, every time you meet somebody on a movie that you're working on who's just another PA or who's whatever the hell they are, and they're related to somebody and they know somebody. I mean, a friend of mine worked on one movie. You know, his dad was the creator of Police Woman back in the, you know, with Angie Dickinson. You know, it's like you've got all these kids out there who grew up with parents in the business, you know, and then you get to know them, and then they introduce you to somebody, and then you meet somebody, and you're having lunch with somebody, coffee with somebody, and you meet somebody at a party, you know, and you've got a script, and you talk about it, and maybe you get to partner up with somebody else who's already written a script. I mean, those are the kind of people that actually get into the business, they make it, and they make money. Because the rest of us who are out, you know, I mean, I'm in Dallas, Texas, for God's sake. I'm not going to make it in the movie business as long as I'm in Dallas, Texas. If I wanted to stay in L.A., which I could have, I would probably be, you know, I'd be a producer and doing whatever I had to do and making some money. But, you know, I probably wouldn't be passionate about the work I was doing, but I'd be making a living and doing okay. So, you know, it's just you decide what you want. Because, I mean, you make these do-it-yourself movies, and the likelihood is that nothing's ever going to happen. But if you're serious about the movie business, you know, go to L.A. I can give you, you know, there are probably 100 people who didn't make it for everyone who did. And I know tons of people who went out there and lived there for years like I did and, you know, ended up, you know, going into some other business. But, you know, but then I know other people that I worked with who made it. So, you just got to think about what your priorities are and what you're trying to do. If you're going to make movies for a hobby, then, you know, yes, stay in Michigan or something or wherever and make a, you know, get out your camera and make a movie with your friends in the backyard. But
drop the Hollywood expectations.
Correct.
Well,
Right.
kind of going along with what Glenn's saying, I've made 2 films. One was in Cincinnati, Ohio. The other was in Los Angeles. And I can say it's a real trade-off for filmmakers out there. If you want to be able to, like, run down the street and do crazy stuff and do whatever, like, stay in the Midwest or wherever you are, because you'll be able to film and do whatever you want. How, on the other hand, though, if you really have a piece that, you know, requires actors, I mean, geez, you need to be in LA because there's so many, like, people don't understand. They think the only talented actors are the ones that are in big mainstream movies making millions of dollars. And it's like, the truth is there's lots of people, you know, doing small roles that you'll never notice, but you can get them for literally nothing. I mean, if you're friendly with them, of course.
All you got to do is put an ad in Drama Log and say that they get meals and a copy of the movie, and you'll get good actors who will show up, and you'll have a bunch of people who will audition, and you'll be able to get some of those people. Now, the thing I should say about, though, being able to run down the street and do whatever you want, I made a movie called Among the Dead, which is a neo-noir psychodrama. I don't know who's seen it. I can't remember. Rob probably hasn't seen it yet. But anyway, if somebody's going to see it, I'm going to start sending it out anyway. But the thing is that I shot part of it in L.A., and it's called Hollywood Deadbeat. Now I've recut it. But I shot scenes of the main character in his underwear walking down Hollywood Boulevard, you know, tilting up from the Orson Welles star up, and here comes the main character walking in his underwear. I shot scenes in the Hollywood Memorial Cemetery, which is now called Hollywood Forever, where all the old movie stars and producers and directors from old Hollywood are buried. It's like right on Santa Monica at, near, I don't know, Beechwood Canyon or something like that. But anyway, you know, we just, you know, did some second unit stuff and just took the Bolex and snuck around and shot all over the place. And what the friends of mine who were producers out there, I was like, we're going to go to Hollywood Boulevard. We're going to go early in the morning when there's nobody there. And they said, no, don't do it. Go in the middle of the day when it's busy and the cops will never see you. So, you know, just make sure your camera's small and you don't have a lot of people hanging around, because it was like for us is whenever we were about to get kicked out, we finished and left. So supposedly they'll confiscate your equipment. I don't know.
But you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm in Northern California. You know, I'm about 7 hours away from Hollywood, and even here, I mean, like before I started the distribution label side of Apprehensive Films, I was just making shorts and stuff. I mean, I was doing freelance camera work and editing here, and enough projects came through town where I've worked on multi-million-dollar projects to come through. So you don't have to even quite be in LA. I mean, Sacramento and the Bay Area gets a lot of overflow from Los Angeles productions, and you can all, you know, I mean, for me, if I have to go to LA, it's not a far drive. So, you know, that's the other thing. You know, you stay outside a little bit of LA, maybe save on your rent, and then drive in.
Yeah.
that's just, and another, what I was going to say though about shooting and not getting caught, the whole DSLR thing is great because if you don't hook it up,
the cameras are so small.
If you don't hook it up to some big rig, which you may, which is what everybody does, and they put it in that big cage and put all that shit on it, it looks like a big deal. But if you want to go outside and shoot some stuff and not get caught, you can take your DSLR out there, and they just think you're shooting pictures. So, unless you're like firing guns and stuff like that, but you can do muzzle flashing, in post, and so you could be running down the street, which is Michael Fredianelli, who did the Fly Face Killers, great about. He's up in San Jose, and he does chase scenes, he does car chases, he does people like running right through major public places, and basically just shoots it and gets the hell out of there, and it's amazing. It works. Rob, you watched that little documentary, didn't you? That with Michael Fredianelli, the way he works.
No, I never got the movie.
Oh, well, forget it then. I'll send you a copy.
I've seen the film. I saw it in Vegas.
I have it right. I have it right in front of me. I have that right next to Race War. So anyway.
Do you want me to send you a couple bucks for the shipping? Are you all right?
No. You just sent me 5 movies. I've got them sitting.
Cash my royalty check, Glenn, and send him the movie.
There you go. Look at that. It's full circle. We're all counting.
Full circle.
I think I have an envelope, a couple envelopes here from Jonathan, but they're on my desk somewhere. Anyway, I think they're in the stack of all these envelopes with contracts. I keep everything so well organized. I should send you a picture of my office. No, I'm kidding. You don't want to see it. I've seen Rob's office is like just like a Hollywood producer. I mean, Hollywood. Yeah. I've seen it. I mean, it's like it's wonderful.
When did you see?
Oh, you've got all that contemporary furniture. You got a big waiting area, and you've got like
all the leather furniture and shit.
Yeah, it's got the Mies van der Rohe chairs, and you've got
frame posters all along the walls.
Hey, listen, if we visualize it, it might actually happen. I like that. It's like The Secret, We'll just put pictures of those things on the wall, and I'll look at it every day, and it'll happen.
Put that on your dream board or whatever.
I like your perception of me. I'm actually in my car right now on my computer in the Skype here, where I live in my car.
Wow. That's dedicated.
Are you parked?
I'm idling because it's so hot here that I have the AC on, but I'm running out of gas.
Oh, jeez. Well,
we're about up, right?
It's a good time. We're coming to.
Oh, it's only an hour. Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's a good time for us to start wrapping up. But before we do, I just want to make sure we go around and everybody talk about where our listeners can find your stuff, talk about your companies and how, and maybe some projects that you really want people to pay attention to. You want to go ahead and start, Rob?
Yeah, sure. Again, we are Wild Eye Releasing, and you can get us at wildeyereleasing.com or Wild Eye, that's EYE, WildEyeDVD.com. We have right now in Walmart we have a film called Scream Park, which is a small slasher homage, which is really, really fantastic. It's got Doug Bradley in it from Hellraiser.
Trailer looks great, by the way.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and it's our first nationwide Walmart deal. Because I had a name actor in it, basically is what it came down to. But we'd love for people to go out there and support us picking that up. We have a great film coming out in July called The Perfect House, which stars Felissa Rose and Jonathan Thierston from Sleepaway Camp. It's a horror anthology, very, very good-looking film, very brutal film. And then we got coming up later in the summer, President Wolfman.
Wow, sounds good.
Which is amazing. It's a Mike Davis movie who did Sex Galaxy and Pervert, if you remember those movies. It's a totally green film. It's 100% recycled footage. It is the Werewolf of Washington, the public domain film, recut and redubbed with like comic comic story. It's kind of like
Dean Stockwell and Michael Dunn.
Yeah, with Dean Stockwell. Yeah, but there's all kinds of new footage in there, but it's all PD kind of footage. It's quite brilliant how they put it all together, and it's hilarious as well. So that's that's some of the gems coming up.
Nice. Glenn, you want to talk a little bit about Whack Movies and where we can find your stuff?
Yeah, whackmovies.com. You can look there. I don't have any real updates. There is stuff on there you can look at. Let me think what's happening. July is I'm releasing the 30th anniversary limited edition Bloodsuckers from Outer Space with first time ever interviews from the two leads, which is pretty cool. And September is Legend of the Hillbilly Butcher, which is a terrific movie. Won a bunch of awards at Polygrind. And November is Skinless, which is a pretty awesome, gory movie that very slick. And after that, then I got Revolution 666, which is a slasher movie with a guy in a walrus costume. And let me think about this. Adam, the Amazing Zombie Killer, is coming up, and that's a really fun, cool movie that some guys made in Denver. That a lot of it takes place in a bowling alley. It's a very funny kind of sophomore humor, lots of good gore and good production value. It's nice. And then, of course, I have to mention Alabama Sasquatch, but all I'll do is say the title because I haven't decided when to release it because I have to find out when will be a good time for me to go totally broke. So, but I am going to the cast and crew screening on Saturday night, so it should be funny. And I'll tell you, it's going to be at the Holiday Inn Express in Ennis, Texas.
Nice.
So if you want to see some backwoods redneck action, that's where it's going to be happening. And they're all going to be drunk and stoned, so it should be lots of.
Sounds like it's going to be a rocking screening for sure.
Oh God,
Yeah.
I could go there. Will you fly me out, Glenn?
I'll consider it. I don't want to go alone, but anyway. So yeah, but Whack Movies, just keep up with Whack Movies and anything. It's just like with Wildlife, anything that we put out is, and Jonathan, it's all over the place. You can you'll see it. Just look it up online, and it's everything's on Amazon and a bunch of other. We pretend that it's at Barnes and Noble and those kind of places because they always list it, even though they don't have it. But it looks like we're big shots because our stuff is in every store online.
Yeah, but that backfires because then you get a filmmaker who says, "Well, I'm on Target.com. Well, you must have sold thousands of them."
Yeah.
No, they never bought one copy. Are you kidding me?
It all went through AEC. They have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why we don't tell them that because it looks like we're getting their stuff everywhere. But then on the other hand, you're right.
They look, and then their friends tell them, "Hey, I saw your thing on cable VOD. I didn't rent it, but I saw it there." And then I get the phone call, "Oh, well, it's on the Verizon. I must have made $50,000 already, right?" I'm like, "Well, actually, three people rented it. I'm sorry to tell you."
Availability and sales are two different things, but
Closed captioning alone costs too much than what your rentals were.
Yeah. Oh, how many times has that happened?
Oh, closed captioning. Oh, fun.
Jonathan, you want to take a second and tell us a little bit what you got going on at Apprehensive Films right now, where we can find you.
Apprehensive Films. Always keep up with us on the main website at afcinema.net. You'll see the posters for stuff coming and whatnot. But our direct sales website is thegrindhouse.net with the word "the" in it, thegrindhouse.net. You can pick up Making Off on DVD. We always usually have our stuff a little bit cheaper than where you can get it at most of the online places if you buy direct. We got Monsters from Beyond the Sun on pre-order. A 1960s sci-fi horror classic on our sub-label, the Midnight Matinee line. And then the other thing, too, that we're doing really exciting that I'm amped up about right now is that we partner with VHX, and we are starting to offer downloads and digital streams on the website. So right now, the first title up is Halloween Home Haunts. You can stream that and download it from thegrindhouse.net. So that's really exciting. We're going to be adding... plan is one title a week until we've got the whole catalog up. So of all the stuff that we've got the digital rights to, which is it's quite a few titles. So check out thegrindhouse.net and you can buy DVDs or stream them if you want.
Nice. I was looking into VHX. I'm glad you said that. I'll ask you about that offline.
Yeah, so far they're great. I can upload movies via Aspera, which I used for the cable VOD stuff. So it was already like. It's like a done deal. It's like I just sign up, and matching their spec masters are pretty easy. They've got pretty decent, normal requirements for their masters. It's not something crazy where you got to supply 18 different files or something, So so far VHX in there, and they get back to you like right away. So they're I think they're a good platform.
Nice.
Sounds good.
We'll talk.
Sounds good. We'll go ahead and wave goodbye to all our listeners here. I want to thank everybody for listening to us on your drive to work, or maybe you're just chilling.
Thank everybody for coming on the show too.
Yeah, for sure. Especially as a filmmaker myself, it's good to hear some of these war stories of what it's like on the distribution side. And I hope people, summer's a time for big blockbuster Hollywood movies, but it's also a time for small movies too. I mean, there's a whole world of stuff out there that if you just kind of scratch the surface on the internet, there's lots of people like Glenn, Rob, and Jonathan just got waiting for you. So please go out and whatever you're into or whatever, look out there, try to support an independent film, try to support a smaller film, because these filmmakers really need your help. And there's just a lot of talent out there that I don't think people really realize, in the world of filmmaking. There's a lot of stuff that Hollywood puts out that frankly gets boring, and it's all kind of the same stuff. But these guys, they got stuff ready for you that's unique, it's interesting, and a lot of people, like we said before, a lot of people put their blood, sweat, and tears in. So thank you guys, thank you Glenn, Rob, Jonathan, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I do want to say that, I want to say this though, as far as indie labels are concerned, there really are only 3 reputable ones. So
okay,
they're not us.
So keep that in mind. You're talking to
Give
us.
me their names so I can.
Nobody else is included in this. It's our own club we have. Okay.
Let's all stick together. Let's not get cliquish here. Let's all stick together. Goat, if you have any, I'm sure I speak for Glenn. If you have any questions about your films coming up, just email Glenn or myself, and we'll give you the scoop on what's going on.
I will, for sure. Thank you guys. It's great. It's great talking to you guys, and hopefully it's some other point down the road we can have you on again when you guys have some new stuff to talk about, or just because there's like a million questions, and interesting things going on, and it's nice kind of peeling the curtain back here, and I think people will like kind of hearing a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes of all these movies and stuff. So thanks again, guys. Everybody, have a good day at work. Take care. And we'll see you again next time on the Slow Hand Radio Morning Zoo Crew.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows, visit electronicmediacollective.com.